Me and Raleigh driving our fort and onto the battlefield. We're just total men. Everyone was fighting everyone else, and the sense of order was just gone. Then something happened that made everyone stop. Joe Clark got into the mouth and ice ball and lots of people's teeth. In our neighborhood, ice balls were banned on lists of small ball fights. So when somebody crossed that line, everybody knew that these things had gotten too far. Restriction from all the claims and meetings of rule empty lots of cells in the rules. Everyone agreed that ice balls were off limits and so does yellow snow. We came up with a bunch of other rules too, like how it's okay to stuff like snow someone's hat and put it back on their head. Once we got everything, we were ready for the next round of battle. But while we were doing all that talking, we didn't notice what was happening behind us. The lower Surrey Street kids sneaked up to the top of the hill on their sledges, and there's nothing we could do to stop them. Now there's only one thing that unties the hill kids. It's what the kids of bottom of the hill try to take what's ours. We don't have much, but we have the hill, and no one's gonna take that from us. As long as Plow was stuck, we knew those guys were just gonna keep coming. So we decided to do something about it. The only way to keep Lower Surrey Street kids from coming back at us was to build a wall or block of the path. And we don't want to build some funny and just pushed over either. We wanted something that was solid. But it needed to make it fast because those guys are ready to march back uphill where their sledges. So we got recycling bins in some nearby houses and started building. We made double the wall. So if anyone breaks through the first layer, then they had to deal with the second one. And we rock-swelled a ton of snowballs. We weren't going to able to get boiling oil. So I ran to Raleigh's and came up with filled some thermos with hot chocolate. The homeschooled kids were collected icicle sticks to the wall. The Doppler kids threw together some snowmen and made them were more than us than actually were, and their Lower Surrey Street came back was ready for them. When those guys saw our wall, they didn't know what to do. And when they got closer, we hit them with everything we had. Those guys wouldn't stand a chance, sent them running back down the hill, and we celebrated our victory. But we celebrated too soon. 10 minutes later, the Lower Surrey Streets were back, and this time they were armed to teeth. Most of them were wearing sports gear and protect themselves to our snowballs, and the moment I knew it was not going to be easy to fight when we got one with them through a hockey stick, but we were with the wall, and we were higher around ground. So we unleashed other rounds of snowballs. We held them for a while, but those guys had some surprise on their sleeves. They hit us with a round of sloppy specials, and which were totally unprepared for. If the Lower Surrey Street is sloppy special, that means Mitchell Pickett was paying for both sides. But we have a deal with them later because now we have a new problem. It turned out sloppy special were just a distraction to draw our attention away from the next attack, which was coming from at us fast. We hit the kids carrying ladders with snowballs, but before we knew it, they planted their ladders at the base of the wall and started climbing the way up. But Raleigh came back with the hot chocolate just in the nick of time. We emptied the thermos. The kids were scaling the wall. Unfortunately, Raleigh didn't add any water into the hot chocolate mix, so all it did was annoy them. But those guys were about to take control of the wall, but when Larita Hook spent both of the day the trash can full of slush on them. We didn't have second to celebrate though, because the Lower Surrey Street's kids were already launching the next attack. Half the late 5th grade football teams lived at the bottom of the hill. They tried to take down the wall with brute force. But the wall held up, and those guys were themselves without the effort. But everyone was tired. The sun was out, and it was actually starting to get warm. I really wish I hadn't worn thermal underwear because I was roasting with the extra layers. The Lower Surrey Street kids kept coming at us, and we kept driving back. And after a while, nobody was energy to keep fighting. Finally, the other 3 morons went back home. At first, we thought that meant we had won, but those guys weren't giving up. They were revolting. By now, it was lunchtime, and kids at the bottom of the hill came back outside with sandwiches and snacks. And once some kids started having juice cartoons, it was a little hard to watch.